Hey Vineyard, thanks so much for checking out the God Story Sunday video. We've got some great stories to tell you. This year we've decided not to emphasize the grand stories of healing and personal transformation, as wonderful as those are, but the stories of ordinary people doing ordinary things that are making an eternal difference. On that note, I want to thank you for all you do to give and serve and make this church amazing. Last year, many of you made an overflow pledge to help hire an associate pastor. During that time, the increase in giving here allowed us to build a new staff. Surprisingly, that's meant hiring not just one pastor, but hiring 7 additional part-time staff members, 3 of whom have pastoral experience and 3 others who are beginning theological training this month. We set out to find a youth pastor, and instead we gained 2 youth pastors in training, a worship pastor, a volunteer coordinator who's beginning pastoral training, a hospitality administrator who comes with a lifetime of pastoral experience, and we were able to add Lauren, my wife, as a part-time staff pastor. I'm excited to see all that God will do with this new team in the coming years. They've got big plans for youth ministry and kids ministry and all the other things we do, but they can't do it alone. The vision God has given them for ministry will take time and money. For that reason, I want to invite you again to start the year with an overflow pledge. It's a pledge to give, serve, and to pray. Now, if you're new to the Vineyard, I'm inviting you to step up, to become a partner here, because the mission God has given us takes all of us. For some of you, your life circumstances have changed, and so I'm asking you, too, to begin this year by prayerfully resolving how to give and serve. Taking the pledge lets us know you're with us, whatever that looks like. You can take the pledge now on the Vineyard app or by following the link at the end of this video. Check it out.
What if I told you that every week I talk with world changers? Every week. But it wasn't always like that. I'm Stacy Holmes, and this is my God story. 3 years ago, Pastor Mike asked me to start leading a kids' worship team. To say I was excited or even interested would be, well, it would just be a bold-faced lie. You see, I was leading adult worship here at Vineyard North, and I loved it. I loved it. And as a former pastor turned stay-at-home mom, I really wasn't loving the thought of spending my adult time with more kids. But as disappointed as I was, and I don't want to downplay that because I was really angry at Mike, I had to repent hardcore in person to Mike. It was pretty ugly. But as disappointed as I was, I really wanted to honor my pastor's sense of God's leading more than I wanted to stay angry. And something interesting happened pretty quickly. I began to grow more excited each week about seeing them. Weird, right? I'd find myself thinking about them throughout the week, curious how their sick puppies or their lost cats were. My husband and I would begin to pray for them at night, praying that they'd grow so close to Jesus they'd never desire anything else. I caught myself looking for the one who felt left out or disengaged, and I'd watch their minds and their hearts open more and more each week to Jesus. Did you know that our Vineyard kids are really concerned about the poor? Really. Every single week they ask Jesus to help people who don't have homes, jobs, or clean drinking water. And they hear from him, really hear. They share pictures they see of heaven and of friends at school who are hurting. They ask Jesus to give their aunts a great birthday and help their grandma's broken leg. They give prophetic words about Michigan beating Michigan State. That's a true story. And I've watched shy, reserved kids come alive when we start singing to Jesus. When I think about what Mike asked of me, I couldn't be more grateful. And I thought I was losing my adult time, but I've actually gained significantly deeper relationships with the amazing kids team of adult helpers. I've discovered this common bond between parents and myself as I get the joy of sharing with you through text or email how amazing your kid is and what a great job you're doing. Because these kids, your kids, they are amazing. God changed my heart. He took that disappointment and he turned it into something I never dreamed possible. Plus, God completely changed my anger toward Pastor Mike into a friendship and a heart of deep respect for his leadership. And when I look out each week at the kids, I don't see these wiggling boys and giggling girls. I see world changers. I see engineers who are going to purify village water. I see counselors reconciling marriages. I see employers giving second chance jobs to people down on their luck. I see Jesus in them. These are the kids, the world changers of Vineyard North. Thank you, Jesus. Maybe you'd want to chat with me about how you can hang out with them too.
I started to come to Vineyard North just about a year ago. I was looking for a place to call home, and so I Facebook messaged a friend and said, I heard that you go to Vineyard North. What's it like? Can I come along? By the end of the conversation, I told her that I would meet her there for a Sunday service, and I've been coming ever since. At first, I would come to church early, sit in the back row, journal, and pray. I didn't know anyone, so I used this quiet time to recenter myself for the week. I would write things down like, today I met so-and-so, or some lady came up to me and gave me a hug. I have no idea who that person is. Or this person looks sad, I need to remember to pray for them. Then at the end of the service, since I wouldn't know anybody, I would just make a beeline for the door and get out as soon as I could. I felt really awkward just standing there not knowing anyone, so I thought it would just be easier if I just left. Then one week, someone pointed out that small groups were signing up, and I thought maybe I should sign up. This would give me an opportunity to meet some people and not allow me to bolt from church. Let me tell you that this was the best thing that I could have ever done. It was in this group that I was able to meet 10 or so people from the church. I would start to see them on Sundays, give hugs, and feel welcomed. My Sundays of just slipping in and out came to an end. Soon I started to know more people, and then a few more, and I started talking to people around me. Earlier this summer, I decided to make Vineyard North my home church and to get more involved. So I signed up to be on the host committee. Now each week I can see people as they come in. I greet them with a smile. Maybe someday I'm going to be able to pay it forward to the next person who walks in and feels disconnected, and to be able to show them that some of the resources that the church has to offer and make them feel connected and more at home.
Hey, I'm Casey, the new youth group pastor. This all started a few years ago, becoming involved with the youth. My husband and I joined a small group of people who had a vision to create and establish a middle school ministry for the church. Our son was in middle school at the time, and the need was there. And now, 3 years later, after hours of volunteering our hearts and sacrificing a portion of our time, we have a flourishing group of middle school kids. The mission is right at our feet. Once the kids can see that they can trust you and that you love them and are for them, it's easy to deposit a lasting love for Jesus into their sweet souls. After a recent event, our students said that with the stress of school and home life, that this gathering was just what he needed. And another said she was on the last strand of faith and would have given up on God if we hadn't shown her that God exists. These kids have captured our hearts, and having adventures with this group is a way for the kids to trust and bond together. It's such a privilege watching them grow into their destiny of becoming men and women of God, so much so that I am following them into high school. I am stepping up and stepping into shaping the hearts of this new generation. Please join us in the middle school and high school ministry. We'd love to have you.
Hi, I'm Leah. I'm one of the worship leaders here. So this all started several months ago when Mike was telling me about a few different things. We were brainstorming, and he was telling me about a group of them that would gather and they would pray and fast and worship together, and he was telling me about how great it was. And on a separate note, he was also talking about maybe we could do a worship circle with the worship team and everything. And so I was like, oh, that's nice. But to be completely honest, what was going on in my head was, wow, that sounds really boring. And I like to worship and stuff, but I was thinking I still don't, I'm not completely clear what the point or purpose of it would be. So then a month or two later, we were dreaming about the worship team and how we wanted to cultivate something deeper, some deeper spiritual formation. I can't even remember if anything shifted in me or why I started planning the worship circle, but I started planning and I pulled from some of the things that our Muslim friends were doing during Ramadan and then things that I've heard others do. And so we set it up so that we fast throughout the day, and then we gather to worship, pray, and intercede for the church, and then we would break our fast with communion and a meal together. The first couple were a little awkward as we tried to figure out what we were doing exactly, and the fasting was really hard for many of us. But after a few weeks of doing this, I started to have this sense that something was happening as a result of the faithful gathering and inviting God's kingdom here, even beyond our little time and beyond our little group. So we kept going. It began to grow, and we started seeing spontaneous worship and intercession, prophetic words and visions, praying in tongues, calling things out of each other, and then seeing those same people stepping confidently and comfortably into the things that we were praying over them. Communion for me has never felt so potent and so valuable as when we've been fasting all day and then worshiping and being in the presence of God and then breaking bread together, just especially as a way of breaking our fast. I started waking up to my 4-year-old reading a book and saying, "The wind blows through the room and the Lord blows through the room and it was good. The Lord blows through the room and it is so good." And so she's saying these things, and then our neighbor girl Antonia, who comes and helps with the kids, came in the other day and started telling me about how she was sitting in her room talking to God, and he started answering her back, and she was just amazed and telling me how incredible it was to hear God speaking to her. And each time that she comes down to like take a kid to the bathroom, she just stands there for a few minutes and watching what is happening. So we've just started to see these really incredible things, and it's gone, it's only been a few months, and we're already so much further in than I ever thought, and it's so much deeper than I thought. And so I'm just constantly amazed at this group of people, and I keep praying that these things would not be contained by my living room, and that Sundays would not be the primary place, that this worship team would call the church into lives of worship.
Hi, my name is Zach Morrison. I've been attending this church for about a year now, but I've been in the Vineyard for a long time, and I've been very involved with the refugee ministry that we've been doing here. Personally, this has been really life-giving for me. Me and my family love serving others who've just not been advantaged as much in life as we have been. They've gone through terrible things that I can never understand, and the thing that I keep finding is that they're just amazing people. One that comes to mind particularly is the Bakari family, who we've been working with, and their children are some of my favorite people. I actually have more pictures of them on my phone than I have of my own kids, because I just love them so much. When I see them, I get filled with so much joy as they all come running out of their house yelling my name. And to think that I'm serving them by helping them with English or just life things here in America, it's truly a blessing, and I'm so glad that I can be part of it. And every time I work with a new family and get to experience somebody else's life story, I just feel like it's this part of the kingdom of God that I get to be doing this stuff here in America today. So yeah, it's wonderful. I can't recommend working with refugees enough.
My name is John Ritz, and my wife Linda and I are in charge of the pantry here at Vineyard North, and just wanted to go over a few things that had some highlights for 2016 and where I believe God is have us at and where He's taken us. And first thing I'd like to say is, I believe that if we didn't have a food pantry here at Vineyard North, no one would starve to death in the Grand Rapids area. But what I do believe is, because ours is a unique food pantry, that we are showing these people the love of Christ, and that is what puts us above most food pantries in the area. We do have, the way it's set up is we have people come into our sanctuary, we do a small sermon, and then we call their numbers and they go shopping, and then they shop with a certain person in the shopping, with a shopping cart, and it's called the cart ministry. And so we love on and minister to people at that point, and then we have a prayer team that comes in and prays, and we've seen miracles. We've seen people healed instantly. We've seen all kinds of miracles that God has done. But we're just loving on these people, and we're using food as a drawing card. And that's the basis of this entire ministry, and we just thank God for what He's doing and what He has done in it. And an interesting point that's been going on month after month is we have roughly between 95 and 110 families come through. It's never been over 120, but it maintains around that 100. But the unique thing is we have 15% new people every month without that number changing over that 100 to 120. And so I believe that God is bringing in new people every month for us to touch and to love on. And that is just an awesome, awesome opportunity that I believe a lot of people are missing out on.
Hi, I'm Katrina, member of Vineyard North. I began attending Vineyard through the Single Moms program. I've been here for 8 years. Trusting God was never really hard for me. As I reflect over the past year, I must say I've learned to trust Him on a whole new level. I've grown, matured in my faith to understand that I can and must trust Him even if everything and everyone falls away. God is faithful, and He expects us to be faithful as well, to be there for one another as He is there for us. That kind of caring is what made me fall in love with Vineyard North. God's love reaches us in many ways, through people sometimes and sometimes even directly. This time last year, I was faced with a $600 electric bill. God led Diane Johannes, a faithful member of Vineyard and leader of the Single Moms group, to an agency that paid the whole bill the day before Thanksgiving. And he used Steve and Lisa Bergman, also of Vineyard North, to bless me with gift cards at Christmas for my grandchildren. While in the store, God blessed me by a stranger buying me a pair of winter boots I desperately needed. Bottom line, you can't outgive God. He always comes through.
Here I'm standing